tonight, beating the Nets in Brooklyn, and the big return of Anthony Davis, who scored 8 points and had 4 blocks in his return. LeBron noticed the immediate impact of AD. Here's the King.
Obviously, right away, you see what he's capable of. Right, we draw a play right out of right to start the game, and I was able to turn the corner and threw a late lob, and he was still able to throw it home. So, very excited to have him back.
His anchor to our defense is something that's been sorely missed, and the ability to mix pitches with him being, a 5-man and a rim protector, and then going centerless, when he's out, is something that we envision will be really good for us and give us a great opportunity to make a late push in the regular season and into the playoffs.
Okay, Jay Williams, tell me this. What is the Lakers ceiling now with AD?
Championship. It's always been a championship. That's what it should as hell be. When you have LeBron James, who's 37 years old, averaging 29, 8, and 6, whose name belongs in the MVP conversation, and you have Anthony Davis coming back, being healthy, a guy who is a multi-time defensive player of the year, a guy who you went out of your way to say, hey, look, this is what we're doing. We're here to win championships. You decide to trade the likes of Kyle Kuzma, KCP, and others to get the return of Russell Westbrook, even though that's not what I would have done, and to let go of Alex Caruso. Your ceiling and expectation better be to win a damn championship. Now, look, I'm not saying I think it's realistic, but I'm saying if you're internally for this team, it's to win a championship, Stephen A. LeBron James deserves to have a championship every year he finishes playing his career, or to at least be in the conversation. If not, why the hell is he playing? Why the hell even assemble this team? And I'm not going to discount who this team could still be in the second half. I think there are a lot of issues that they have, even though last night they blitzed the Brooklyn Nets, they should, without KD and without Kyrie. There's still some questions around defensively. If you want to, I heard you say the other day about coaching. I disagree with you on that. I don't think Frank Vogel is the answer to firing. I don't know who the hell you can even replace him with. But I will say the ceiling should be a championship. That should be the expectation for this team.
I think you're wrong. Because I think that your mentality about this Lakers squad with what you just expressed is what we all believed coming into the season. I'm focused on what we've seen. Mm-hmm. And based on what we've seen, I don't think championship needs to be mentioned in the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm worried about them getting past the first round. That's how I feel about the Los Angeles Lakers in all seriousness. And the reason that I feel that way is because of how they looked even before AD went down. They were like 16 and 14 before AD went down, okay? And they were having problems defensively. And AD and LeBron obviously signed off on Russell Westbrook being there as well. I'm not faulting Russell Westbrook the way other people are. He gives 100%. He never cheats you with effort. He is what he is. I'm going to tell you what I fault Russell Westbrook about. I fault him about 3 things. I fault him about his perimeter shooting, which is virtually non-existent in my mind. He's not a shooter. Leading the league in turnovers.
Yep.
And forgetting who the hell he is. And what I mean by that is, forget about what people say you can't do. Do what you know you can do. When he was player of the month in 2020 and he averaged 27 for the season against the Houston Rockets, he came on strong over the last several months because he attacked the basket with vigor and he forced you to deal with him. He ain't worried about what you were talking about he couldn't do. He attacked, okay? He was in attack mode and attacking that basket. I think that's what he needs to get back to. And outside of that, here's what I would address to you about Frank Vogel. First of all, as it pertains to AD, people walk around. I'm appalled at his 17% shooting from three-point range. He's completely lost his perimeter shot. But he's still averaging 24 and 10. AD is AD. This brother's big time. Now, he might not be a top 5 player in the world right now, but the brother big time, and people talking about him like he's some scrub. AD ain't no damn scrub. AD is very formidable. And LeBron is playing like an MVP candidate. It's just that the Lakers have been so sporadic, we can't consider him for MVP because obviously he has some leadership responsibilities as well, and people are looking at it from that perspective as well. But numbers-wise, LeBron is right there. I've never advocated for Frank Vogel's firing. And that's what I want to make sure that I'm clear with you about.
Okay.
What I said was he will be the scapegoat. Russell Westbrook's making $44 million. Next year, he makes $47 million. okay, in the last year of his deal, assuming he opts in, which I believe he will, to get to $47 million, okay? So LeBron ain't going nowhere. AD ain't going nowhere. And they convinced Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss to sign on Russell Westbrook. So the team that you assembled is the team that you assembled. That's their responsibility as well as Rob Pelinka. Rob Pelinka ain't going to fire himself. I don't think Jeannie's going to let go of him. And when Magic Johnson is tweeting that there's no excuse for this, and I'm saying it's cold because it's time for a change, the one thing that I am critical of Frank Vogel about, and I'm not saying he deserves to be fired, I'm saying you wasn't the first choice. That was Ty Lue. You wasn't the second choice. That was Monty Williams. You wasn't the third choice, which was Jason Kidd. It's just that they couldn't hire Jason Kidd, they felt, because of off-court transgressions from years earlier, which should have never been the issue with hiring Jason Kidd. Frank Vogel was here on Get Up. He was working at ESPN, okay? He wasn't there. He took that $5 million a year, and you went there. But the reason why you were head coach is because defense was your signature. You cannot be Frank Vogel and have a team 18th in defensive efficiency, 27th in points allowed. You cannot have
Let me
that.
get to the real crux of the problem. You see, when LeBron James was with Miami, who was
Pat Riley.
leading LeBron
Riley.
James?
Pat Riley.
Okay.
And D-Wade.
With the exception of Cleveland, where Kyrie made an incredible shot down the stretch, right? I still give him a lot of credit. I think what happens with LeBron is that people acquiesce to what he wants so much. And I'm not saying that LeBron can't make incredible decisions.
Sure.
But there's nobody saying, no,
Right.
this is going to be the way that we're going to do this.
Right.
And I think culturally, that's what happens with the Lakers right now.
1,000% correct.
That's their problem.
1,000% correct. But still in all, you've been around long enough to know what I'm saying is right. Even if it's not Frank Vogel's fault, you know we're going to take the fall.
But that's my problem, though, Stephen A.
I agree. I
Do
agree.
you go to Phil Handy?
No.
And I love Phil Handy. Do you go to Dave Fisdale?
Can I just
like
say
his record is
let me say
nobody
this to you.
fixes
Let me
that
say this
problem.
to you. I wouldn't hesitate to go to Phil Handy. And I don't and knowing Phil Handy the way that I do, he would never want this job, because he wouldn't want it under these conditions. You understand what I'm saying? Because everybody's talking about Frank Vogel. He don't roll like that. We've known Phil Handy for years. But let's understand something about a Phil Handy. Cleveland Cavaliers win a championship. Phil Handy's the coach, assistant coach.
Assistant. Never been a
I
head
said that.
coach.
Toronto wins a championship. Phil Handy's an assistant coach at Toronto. Lakers win a championship. Phil Handy's. Damn. How many places do you have to be before you? There's plenty of coaches that have never been assistants that have gotten head coaching jobs. How come a guy that is an assistant, that is huge on player development, how come he can't be considered?
Because it automatically sets him up for failure right out of the gate.
Okay,
and I think if you're Phil Handy, you can't take that out.
No, I'm saying I don't think he would.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, to address your question, I'm saying I agree with you because of the conditions that exist with the Lakers. But don't tell me that it would be, something that's utterly ridiculous if the Lakers sat up there and said, well, the hell with all that. We're looking at him over a Fizdale or somebody else. Because at some point in time, you got to be like a Pittsburgh Steeler. Mike Tomlin was a coordinator. You got to give somebody a chance. And there's something about them that can galvanize people to maximize their potential. I think Phil Handy's that kind of guy. That's how much I believe in him. I'll say this to you. If I were the Knicks, and of course I wouldn't, there's a Tom Thibodeau. There's a Tom Thibodeau. But would I hire somebody like that? Yes. Would I hire Mark Jackson? Yes. I would do that. Mark Jackson was never an assistant. Mark Jackson goes to Golden State, and he built the foundation that Steve Kerr piggybacked off of, and Steve Kerr took it to another level and deserves credit. But there's nothing wrong with taking that chance.
Understand.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I just don't think Phil Handy would want that situation, nor will he fix some of the immediate issues.
Right.
The question is happening. It was trending last night on Twitter, and it made me think, damn.
Okay.
It really made me think.
Okay.
Now, I know Russ was already there, but do you try to go back and get a guy like John Wall? Maybe see if you can get a guy like Eric Gordon with John Wall.
No.
Another perimeter shooter and a defender.
John Wall got mad love and respect for him. John Wall hasn't played in a couple of years.
I understand that.
And he's not a shooter.
He can be a spot-up shooter.
I need a shooter from that point guard.
He's going to shoot the ball better than Russ.
I don't know about that now. He's been going for 2 years.
All right. If you want more Jay Williams, check him out every weekday with Max and Keyshawn. That's 6 to 10 Eastern on ESPN2 and, of course, on ESPN Radio. Always good to see you. We'll talk to you soon. Stephen A. is already on the record saying Saturday night's loss was a career